Well, hello and welcome everybody to our talk today. I'm going to talk about scaling or failing and putting containers on OpenStack with OpenShift. And I'm Diane Mueller. I'm the Director of Community Development at Red Hat for OpenShift. And my counterpart here in Japan, Kei Omizo, is here with me as well. So if you have questions in Japanese, or if you want to meet us at the booth afterwards, we can talk you through anything I speed talk through here. So really what I'm going to do is tell you a story first. We all know that software has been disrupting all kinds of industries, but I'm going to make this a little bit more personal in the story that we have about OpenShift and how we've evolved our offering. So we always are preaching to enterprises and customers that IT itself must evolve. They must adopt new standards, the new microservices and containers and other technologies and keep up with the Joneses. And at OpenShift, we were going merrily along for a number of years with a wonderful platform as a service. It was an open source project, and you can get all of it on GitHub. And it was a Ruby and Rails app with MongoDB underneath it and all kinds of wonderful things. And we had over 2.5 million applications running on OpenShift. We hosted as a public platform as a service, and we were enjoying great growth year over year. And at one point, somebody measured it, and we had 1 billion requests per day. So we were doing pretty good, and we're scaling pretty nicely. But then we met some folks over at Google. And Google does a little bit more exponentially higher scaling than we do, where we were doing like 1 billion requests and launching up our version of containers, which back in the day we called gears, and we had cartridges and a totally different metaphor than Docker. Google itself was scaling up at like 2 billion containers a week, which is totally phenomenally different. So we went over and we were talking with them, and we started at OpenShift, I should say, we have a sort of a community ethos of working with other open source projects as opposed to building stuff ourselves. We like to embed our engineers in other teams and work with them to build out the technologies that we need to use in our product offerings. We also have over 150 organizations that are working with us and part of the OpenShift community. We call ourselves the OpenShift Commons, and we have over 30 companies that have been contributing code and feedback into OpenShift itself. So we have a history of collaborative innovation and working with people. But about mid-year last year, we realized that the world was changing. Everybody was yelling Docker, 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 and though we were calling it gear, 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 and we were doing containers, a lot of the work that was going on in Docker was stuff that was very important to us. And so at Red Hat, we did embed a number of resources into working directly on Docker to help get some of the security, the containerization, and the pieces and parts there. So we really were working closely with them. And we made a decision to pivot and re-architect and evolve our own offering, rewriting the entire thing in Go, and taking advantage of Kubernetes to do the cluster management and container orchestration. So what we built together with other open source projects now has been generally available since June of last year. So we have it in production in enterprises. We're hosting it for dedicated nodes for our enterprise customers. We have OpenShift Online, which is still running those 2.5 million applications in our V2. But what we've done is taken some of our large enterprise customers and migrated them over to OpenShift, the dedicated node resources, which is available to others as well for early access. And I could go on for days about Atomic Enterprise Platform, but you can come visit us in the booth and we'll tell you more about that. What I wanted to talk about a little bit today was how it works on OpenStack. And what we're doing, what we've done is automated the deployment of OpenShift clusters, the ability to add and remove Kubernetes nodes. We've integrated and created Ansible playbooks for deploying easily. We've done all the network stuff with Neutron, and we've got storage integration with Cinder and Manila. And right now we've got OpenStack working with CloudForms so we can manage both the OpenShift deployments that you deploy your Docker images into OpenShift, as well as visualize and see all of the work that's going on in Kubernetes. So we've done a lot of work. You can look on GitHub. You can find all the instructions to set it up. The Cloud Forms folks are in our booth as well, and they can walk you through doing all of the management pieces of it. But a little bit about what we've done in the whole re-architecting. So because we've re-architected now, we can work on any infrastructure, and mostly what we're going to talk about today is doing here, we're taking advantage of the new node, or nodes are where the instances of your applications will run. All of those application services run inside Docker containers inside of those nodes. They don't run alone. Most of us write applications and they take up more than one Docker image or one container. So we're also doing all the networking across those Docker images and putting them in the pods. The pod placement is, there's a whole policy processing piece to that, so placing the pods out there. And the services allow the related pods to talk to each other. So it's a very nice cathartic piece. But the other piece that I really like about the new worldview is that we now have good persistent storage story for stateful services. The routing layers are for external apps are requesting to the pods, and I'm talking way too fast, I can tell. But I wanted to actually run and show you this running real time, and I'm going to see if we can do this. The developers, from a developer's point of view, a lot of this, the value proposition for platform as a service on top of OpenStack is the abstraction layer. So for us, what we've tried to do is create a tool chain that allows you to just work with your GitHub repos, pull in that source code, automate the build of the Docker images and the wiring up of all the images and deployments and scaling that up and down. And we want you to be able to do that either from our web console or from your own CLI, whether it's Eclipse or another IDE. And now we're going to walk through running the Hexboard demo that we used at the Red Hat Summit. It's a great illustration of how to grab code directly from a GitHub repo. We already have one application running in the background, and now we're going to launch a separate one, Sketchpod, which is, we're going to scale this one up, and the Hexboard is going to allow us to visualize this. So we can step through here. We're going to use all the defaults, and we can set up environment variables. If a new image of Node.js is available, it'll pull that one in, but we're just going to do this really quickly because we only have a short time here. And we can now go in and edit and scale up how many replicas we want of this. But for this first test, what we're just going to do is just launch and create one image of this. And we're creating a service group using labels. Since it's Kubernetes under the hood, this is a common nomenclature for doing this. And the Hexboard demo recognizes and visualizes the items in this service group. So you can now see we've got one pod up and running. So its build is pending, the deployment is automatically created, and currently there's no pods. Give it a minute, we'll browse over here, and we can see that everything is indeed up and running. Now we're going to move and the generic webhooks here into the other application, so the other application is aware of it. It's now up and running. Oh, no, we're still waiting for it. It's pending. Okay, now, and you can see the key value was set. So, now we've got one running. We're just showing you the different visualizations and how the dashboard shows that off. And now you can see we have one pod up and running in the Hexboard. So that's well and good, and that took a few seconds there. And now we're going to scale that one up, that sketchpad up, and see if we can't get a few more replicants up there. This time we're going to do 5, and that ought to
scale up pretty quickly, and you can see the empty pods are in one shade of blue, pending there, running there, and live there, and responding to inquiries in another spot. So we're going to do that, and that was fun. Now let's try 64, because we can, and see how fast that goes up. And you can see we're popping back into the dashboard here, and all the pending and running nodes of Sketchpad, and slowly, not too slowly though, they're actually coming live onto the hex board, and you can see we're filling it in with a beautiful, very recognizable logo. And there you go, a little bit of creativity there. So now that's all well and good, but let's see what else you can do. Let's kill a few of those. So we're using the CLI, the OC CLI, and we're going to delete and select a couple of these random Sketchpad and delete them, and watch how quickly we're just flipping back and forth. This is not really edited for speed, this video. We will admit it's a video recording, but I'm flipping back and forth very quickly here. And now they've deleted them, and they automatically repopulate themselves. So it's pretty cool and pretty easily handled. And now we're just going to pause for a minute here. And do another delete. And you can see that it's, it's going out, it's replicating, building them again, and pulling them in. And there's one more there. Okay. So let's see a little bit more here. So you can see in the dashboard, this is the web console from that comes with Origin and Enterprise. It's all open source. And you can see. So we just keep killing and deleting them and see how quickly they are. And it's all pretty easily done from the command line. So now we're just going to delete all of them and in a single service group, and show how easy you could just clean up your act after you're done. And so that, in a nutshell, is our quick and dirty scaling demo, and I hope you enjoyed that.
So basically what we're able to do is spin up these containers, whether they come directly from GitHub. You can take the source code, throw them into the web console. You can also take any Docker image from Docker Hub itself, though you might want to be careful about what you're running. So if you have an Ubuntu or a Debian image or something, you can pull that in and from the CLI spin that up. So there's a lot of possibilities now of taking trusted repositories and making them available within enterprises. We've got that set up now, and we're able to help you integrate and create continuous integration and deployment workflows with Jenkins, all on containers, all on top of OpenStack. So that's been one of the fun things we've been able to do at real high volume and high scale, and that's where coming and working with Kubernetes and the Kubernetes crew has been very helpful. And so I'm going to say is, I'm going to be quick about this one. If you're interested in what we're doing, we have a number of customers here that are in Japan that we've talked to, along with Dell and Cisco, who are here based in Japan as well, that have deployed OpenShift and have been giving and contributing back to the computer. So we'd really to the Commons, and we'd really like to help you join us and give us your feedback. And with that, I'm going to end, and I'll let you all go.